Today on the HopeFilled Financial Podcast, I'm going to tell you about a 2.5 pound gummy worm that I that I bought as a Christmas gift for my wife's brother-in-law. And for our main topic today, we're going to be going over an article that was published by thecuriousfrugal.com. The article is called 100 Frugal Christmas Ideas, and we're going to go over my favorites in that list today. Good morning and welcome to the HopeFilled Financial Podcast. My name is Jay Disberger, your one and only HopeFilled Financial Coach, and I'm happy that you're here with us today. As promised, we're going to kick off with the story about a 2.5 pound gummy worm. If Amanda and I can find it, I'll have her pop up a picture here so that you can see the Amazon listing for it. We might even link it below, but I do not recommend that you buy this thing unless the person you're giving it to has a practical use for 2.5 pounds of gummy sugar. This is not a frugal use of your money. It's not an efficient way of gift giving. So this story goes back to when Amanda and I had just started dating. This was actually my first Christmas over with her family. Her sister had just gotten married, so she has a new brother-in-law. And they were really thoughtful with the gifts that they decided to give us, Amanda's sister and her new husband. But I didn't know too much about Amanda's new brother-in-law. His name's Kevin. Hi, Kevin. The one thing I did know he liked was gummy worms, so I was looking for gift inspiration, and I came across on Amazon the largest gummy worm you can buy. It was right next to a giant gummy bear, and it wasn't a sour gummy worm like Kevin really liked, but it was still ridiculously huge, and I thought it would be so funny to give it to him for Christmas. It's more or less a prank gift, but it was so much for the budget that I had at the time. That was all that I could afford to assign him for that Christmas gift. And I decided to pull the trigger on it and get this giant gummy worm. Now, Christmas Day rolls around, or the day that we decided to celebrate Christmas as a family, and Amanda knows what I'm giving Kevin. She's sitting next to me on the couch. I've got my camera out so I can record the reaction, and I'm just getting ready to explode laughing. I could not wait for it. He opens it up, and I think the package says on it that it's a giant gummy worm. He's like, there's no way this is a giant gummy worm. That's not really what it is, right? And then he opens it up, and he looks into the package and pours it out and is like, oh, that's exactly what it is. And Amanda's sister is just sitting there like, I'm trying not to give him diabetes. And Amanda and I are just dying laughing on the couch. It was like the funniest thing that happened that Christmas season. However, in hindsight, I really should have been more thoughtful with the gift and gone with something that was a little bit more thoughtful or a little bit more practical, something that was a more efficient use of my gift-giving dollars. When I say frugal, I'm not saying that I needed to be cheaper with the gift I got for Kevin. That's definitely not the case. I'm saying that I needed to be more intentional. I needed to pick a gift prudently that was going to exercise a more intentional use of utility or joy. This is something that after he opens it and we all laugh, like, what really is he going to do with it? You can't use a gummy worm of that size to cook anything realistically. At least I don't think so. I haven't actually asked him what ended up happening to the gummy worm. I'm sure they shared some of it and then either froze it or threw it away, and that's the end of it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story and it gives you something to smile about this holiday season. Now it's time for today's main topic. So for today's main topic, we're going to be going over an article from thecuriousfrugal.com. This article is 100 Frugal Christmas Ideas, free or practically free. So they're not only frugal, but they're frugal because they don't cost anything. And I'm all about the idea of going through the holidays without spending money unnecessarily. And I mentioned it last week, but some of the best things that we can do for others in the holiday season and some of the things that build the best memories for us don't cost anything or cost significantly less than what we might be pressured to do. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to pause and mention the things that stand out to me. The first one is a holiday lights tour. Now, in Kansas City this year, I think the world's largest Christmas light maze is touring and settling in this Christmas season for a duration of time. And that tour does cost a good bit of money. But just the other day, my son and I went to the store looking for button batteries so that we could get the Christmas ornaments to make sounds. And well, we struck out at the store, but we went in the evening. And after the fact, I saw some Christmas lights on some houses that looked pretty cool. So I made sure he was able to see out his window, and we drove by it. And I said, Oliver, do you see the Christmas lights? And he's like, wow, wow. It was really cute. He really, really enjoyed it. And it's something that I hope he remembers. We tried it again tonight, and he enjoyed he enjoyed it just as much, I think, even though we didn't see near as many. Watching Christmas movies, there are some good Christmas movies that are available for free, or you might have some tangible media, and they're classics. Let's see. Going Christmas caroling if you can sing. I can't, so I'm gonna skip that one. Christmas baking. Now that's a good one. I'm a big fan of making holiday treats and sharing them with neighbors. I find it's a good way to make friends and maintain relationships with people who I might not otherwise talk to very often in the neighborhood. And in that same vein, number 7 that they have on the list is hosting a cookie swap where I guess you get together and you share treats intentionally in like a party setting. Make a handmade Christmas gift is next. Now, I wish we had an update on the boxes that I shared last week that I'm making for Amanda's grandparents with her, my dad, and Amanda's dad's been helping on it too. But we haven't made any progress since the last recording, so maybe I'll show you where they are on the next one. That'll be for next time. Number 10, I really like. Go for a walk in the snow. And I'll tell you why I like this one. When Amanda and I were dating and she lived in Council Grove, Kansas, I would drive down to visit her during the late fall, early spring semester, and there was often snow on the ground. And it was one of our favorite things to do to bundle up in our snow stuff, get hats and coats, and go out and just go on a walk in the snow, watch our footprints, build a nice little trail of where we've been behind us, and enjoy the beautiful nature. I remember on one walk in the snow, it was getting a little dark, and we were walking by this hill and we were going back and forth about the Princess Bride. And I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I ended up tumbling down the snowy hill saying, "As you wish." My hat fell off and I lost my cell phone in that fall, but that's a story for another time perhaps. I'm going to say the next one would be a board game night. Board game nights can be fun. I know that uh, for Amanda's family, we've played the Festivus, the Seinfeld themed Festivus board game before. My father in law doesn't like that one as much, but it's not the worst game to play during the holidays. The next one I want to mention is make homemade Christmas ornaments. If you're going to be doing the baking anyway, one way that my sister made some Christmas ornaments and gave them away as gifts a year or two ago was to take gingerbread, and I think she like double baked it or over baked it and then sealed it up in a way that it wasn't going to rot, and it made like a permanent sort of Christmas ornament that looks like a Christmas cookie. We actually just hung that ornament on the tree. I dropped it onto the brick hearth and it didn't end up breaking, so I'm pretty happy with that. Decorate a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Now, this isn't very frugal if you do it the way that my dad does. He has one of those Radco ornament trees. It looks like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, but it's for those expensive blown glass ornaments. And he likes the ones that are a little bit more expensive. He likes that collection. I'm just going to say that for most people who don't want to spend an exorbitant amount on fragile Christmas ornaments or have a lot of little kids, you might shy away from doing that. So the next one I'm going to mention is number 22 on the list, build a snowman. One of my favorite things that I remember as a kid was building my very first snowman with my siblings. And I think this can be something that's nostalgic and fun as an adult, going out and trying to build a snowman. I remember that my mom was so frugal with the food, she wouldn't give up a carrot for us to make a nose. She didn't want to give us any food to fabricate the snowman's face. So we ended up digging through the snow around the edges of the house and finding river rock or stones that were part of the landscaping and shoving them into the snowman's face. No, but building a snowman is a completely free way to build some beautiful holiday memories if you're in an area where it snows naturally. And the next one I'm going to mention is 24. 24 says make a playlist of your favorite Christmas songs. When Amanda and I were getting ready for that Christmas where we gave Kevin the giant gummy worm, I had put together a Spotify playlist of all the Christmas music that I knew from my childhood, and I slowly added songs that were pertinent to Amanda's childhood in there. So now we have a family playlist that has music from both of our backgrounds, and it's the playlist that we play for Oliver while we're decorating for Christmas here. I think that's been a very meaningful and frugal way that we've been able to engage with the Christmas spirit, if you will. Ooh, build a snow fort. I'm not going to comment on that, but that does sound really fun. So the next one that catches my eye after that is making a gingerbread house. Now, I'm an architectural engineer by trade, and my sister really likes baking as well as aesthetic decorating. She's entered gingerbread house building contests like every year for the last 5 years. And when she was younger and I was still at home, my sister and I would build a gingerbread house together every year. We started with the kits that you can get at the store and graduated to making more and more elaborate gingerbread houses from scratch with our own homemade gingerbread. And we got some pretty interesting gingerbread houses made back when that was our thing. But it makes for a precious holiday memory that I'm going to treasure for the rest of my life. It's one that I also share with my wife. We made a gingerbread house once that I really enjoyed. So the next one, buy Christmas lights from the dollar store and hang them from your outside trees. I'm all about decorating for the holidays, but I know that Christmas decorations can be expensive. I've yet to put a good number of Christmas decorations in our budget, so our home is sparsely decorated at the moment. While our Christmas decoration collection is indeed growing, we're not in a rush to do as much as we could right now. Buying Christmas lights has just always fallen short of making it onto our priority list for the holidays, given other financial priorities in the budget. However, getting some lights from the Dollar Tree might be a good way to get started or actually spread some lights out on the exterior. Ooh, we're going to jump to number 36 for the next one here. Number 36 is write a gratitude list. I'm actually going to read what the author has to say for this one. The author says, this is a great exercise any time of the year, but especially at the Christmas holiday when there can be excess. Writing a list of everything you're grateful for is a good reminder of how lucky the majority of us are. I think another way I'd phrase this one is counting our blessings, and doing it on paper on purpose can be a good way to combat the commercialism that can pressure us to keep up with the Joneses with all the new stuff that's being purchased. Next is go sledding. I remember doing that as a kid. That was really fun. Ooh, 38. I gotta mention this. Buy Christmas outfits secondhand from a thrift store. This reminds me of another good dating story where my wife and I gave each other I think it was $10, and we bought each other outfits, and then we had to wear those outfits out on a date. That was really fun. Maybe you could do something similar, but make it holiday themed. That would be cool. The next one that catches my eye is make a coupon book for gifts. This reminds me of the one coupon that I made for Janae that I mentioned in last week's podcast. But there's nothing that's stopping you from making a whole book of things that you can do for someone, and they can use those coupons throughout the next year. I actually really like that. If you have a lot of time that you can give and you have a lot of activities that you want to do with whoever you're giving that gift to, well, you can pack the coupon gift book pretty heavily. Ooh, the next one I can relate to is number 47, make your own Christmas cards instead of buying them. My wife typed up a Christmas letter this year, and she put a whole bunch of photos in it, double-sided, just a normal 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that basically tell our story throughout the year, and wrote up a little summary. She's folded all those up, popped them into envelopes, put stamps on them, and we're sending them out this week. I think it's a lot cheaper than buying professionally made Christmas cards. And I think those homemade cards sincerely show how much we want to stay connected with our closest friends and family. I'm not going to get hung up on this one for too long, but 48 is track Santa's sleigh on Christmas Eve. That's something that my dad used to do with me and my siblings. It was something he really liked to do. The website to track Santa's there, I think it's the NORAD tracking website. That's pretty cool. All right, the next one I'm going to mention, and I'm going to expand on it a little bit, is number 54. We're getting into the buying gifts for everyone scenario. I come from a family where there are 5 younger siblings. So there's 6 of us kids and then mom and dad. And a couple of my siblings are married. On top of that, Amanda and I have Oliver, and our next baby boy is due in March. So the family's expanding, and it can become a financial burden to try to buy gifts for everyone. And after you get married, if you get married, you know that there's going to be 2 sides of the family that you got to buy gifts for. And where do you draw the line? And well, my family decided to do a Secret Santa, and it wasn't just a 1-for-1. It was two Secret Santas. So you get to be Secret Santa for 2 recipients, and you get 2 different Secret Santas giving you gifts. That way you don't have to buy gifts for everyone, and you can focus the money that you do have that you can budget to simply buying something nicer so that it's not spread so thin it's just all junk or items that you worry will be found is useless for those who are receiving them. I think that's been a very frugal approach for my family, and it's something that my wife's family might start doing next year. We just started talking about that. If you're feeling pressured to buy gifts for everyone and you've got a good long list in your family and you think that's appealing, well, don't be afraid to bring up the topic of, hey, how can we restructure our gift exchange in a way that's going to be more meaningful? You might find that you're not the only one who's feeling pressured to move that way. You're the first one to maybe speak up about it. Okay, 56 covers basically the itemize and prioritize tip from last week, which is set a limit on what you're going to spend on Christmas gifts and stick to it. In a sense, make yourself a holiday budget for your gift giving. Okay, the next one that makes me smile is number 67, which is visit relatives who might be lonely this time of year. One of the greatest gifts that we have is the gift of our time or the gift of our presence. So if there's someone in your family or a friend you know who is lonely this time of year, maybe just reach out and simply try to spend some time with them. In our post-pandemic culture, almost everybody knows how to do a video call now over the internet, so that could also be a good option. Set up video calls with people and catch up with them. I think that's a great idea, and that actually is extended in number 68. Do video chats with out-of-town friends and relatives. It cuts down on the travel cost. Okay, I've jumped ahead quite a bit, but number 92 makes me smile. With your spouse, agree to gift each other index funds. And get a load of this. To me, nothing says romance like index fund, smiley face. Okay, I guess the idea behind this one is gift giving with the intention of investing in each other's future. I think we're going to move on from there and see if any of the last 7 stand out to me. Ooh, I like number 95. Read stories by the Christmas tree. That can be really fun, especially on Christmas Eve. I remember doing that with my dad, reading the night before Christmas, the classic. Okay, number 97. Am I reading that right? Dress up like a reindeer and frolic in the snow? Oh, I just wanted to see who's still here with me. Hey there, smiling face. That's funny, but don't tempt me. Let's look at the last 3 here. Make a holiday letter and send it to families with important highlights from your past year. That's basically what Amanda and I did with our Christmas cards. I mentioned that earlier. Ooh, number 99. That's what we're gonna end it on number 99. Number 9 is make a holiday video to send to family with updates on the past year. So ever since Amanda and I have been dating, I have at the end of every year gone through the events of that year and compiled a little slideshow of things that happened. Think of it as my effort to summarize the highlights of the year in 30 minutes or less with all the little videos and pictures. We both have phones, so we're taking videos and pictures all the time, especially since having a kiddo. There are more photos than I think we know what to do with at this point. And you got to think, are you going to go back and sift through all of those photos and screenshots of what Wordle you got when you finally got it on the first one and other things that you've screenshotted from the internet? Because there's a lot of stuff that you're going to have to sift through trying to go through memory lane. I think it's kind of fun to have a video for each year that we can go back and look at that tells our story, not only for us as we go back through memory lane, but something that we can leave to our kids so they can see what mom and dad's life was like in the time before they can remember, because either they weren't around or they were too young. And that is a frugal gift that I think is absolutely priceless. If you do something like that, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you've been doing it for a while, I think that's really cool. I'd like to hear what's kept you motivated to keep making those every year. I skipped over a lot of the ideas in this list for brevity, so if you want to see the rest of them, I've put the link to this article in the description. Next week's episode comes out the day after Christmas, so you're probably not going to hear from me again until after most of the holidays have transpired. With that in mind, happy holidays, budget bravely, and enjoy your hope-filled financial future.